Thanks so much for joining me. I'm so excited about this.
Us too.
Yeah, thanks for having
Of
us.
course, I know it's a really hot topic. I probably get at least 3 or 4 questions a week in my like AMA question box about this every Monday, and I literally most of the time don't know how to answer. So I'm really excited to be able to do this.
Yeah, us too. I know it's like a really, let me just, I know it's just a really popular topic among this community.
And
So
important.
yeah, very important.
Awesome. Well, I'm Madison Oak. If you don't know me, I'm a vestibular physical therapist, and I am at the Vertigo Doctor on Instagram in case you're here from Dateability. I would love if you guys introduced yourself as well.
Yeah. Hi everyone. I am Jacqueline Child, and I am the co-founder of Dateability. I am Alexa's younger sister, and I am disabled due to chronic illness. And we'll talk about more about the story of Dateability.
Totally.
I'm Alexa. I'm Jacqueline's older sister, and I'm also the co-founder of Dateability, which, for those of you coming in from the Vertigo Doctor, it's the only dating app for disabled and chronically ill people.
Yeah, I am literally so excited about this. When I found you guys on Instagram, I was like, this is the best day. Like, I think this is such a good idea. Like, there's a dating app for so many different reasons, no matter what you're looking for. And I'm so excited for you guys to have created this. So someone's already saying, as someone with a vestibular migraine who's dating and disabled, thank you so much. So you guys rock. I'm really excited. I'd love if you guys could tell us about the story of Dateability, how it came to be, and all about it.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, I have a lot of chronic illnesses, and dating was always very tricky for me after graduating college. And so I would meet these people on the mainstream dating apps, and things would just go downhill. And I always attributed it to my chronic illnesses. And people would say really offensive comments like that I should never have any biological children because it would be selfish to pass on my genetics, which without ever knowing me, that's just horrendous to say.
Yeah.
And then, there was one time I began dating someone. He told his family about me because he was really excited. And he'd mentioned that I have lupus, and his mom warned him to not get involved with me. Life would be miserable. She said she knew someone with lupus and to run as fast as he can. And that was that. And then
he did.
Yes, he did.
And he ran.
Yes. And this just kept happening. And I always, like so many other people I hear about, had so much anxiety when I had to disclose because it was just really hard. And I began to internalize those feelings and think that, yeah, maybe it is too much to date me. Maybe I just should be alone forever. And then back in October of 2021, I had to get a feeding tube, a J tube for gastroparesis. And, food's so central to our social lives. And Alexa and I both panicked at how that would change just the dynamic within our family, but also how that would change my dating experience. And I think I said, like, I just wish there was an app for someone like me. And Alexa said, let's make it. And here we are.
Awesome. Well, I'm so glad that you guys did. And it seems like you guys already have a pretty awesome user base, and I'd love to hear kind of where you guys are located, if it's international, if it's just in the US right now, and kind of what that looks like. And then we can get into some more specific questions that people were having as well.
Yeah, so we are located, so right now we're operating in North America, so Canada, Mexico, and United States. We do really want to expand to parts of Europe, UK, Australia, New Zealand. Their privacy laws are very costly and take time, so it will be a minute until that happens, but we fully intend on expanding internationally. Right now we launched the end of October, so just about 6 months ago. Holidays are always slower times, people are with their families, but despite that, so probably in about 5 months, we've gotten over 4,000 users. Which has been amazing. We get, about 150 to 200 new users a week. And so we're really growing. We hope that this year we're able to ramp up the growth and start growing exponentially and really create a user base more akin to the user base of Bumble and Tinder, but they have decades ahead of us, or 15 years about. So they have a 15-year head start. But we will get there eventually. And we have people with all different kinds of disabilities, physical, psychiatric, mental illness, and within physical, of course, is such a spectrum. But we really appreciate that diversity. And so, we don't believe that somebody with one disability has to connect or be in a relationship with someone with this exact same type of disability. In fact, that's probably pretty limiting. But just having that, I think, despite what disability you have or whatever you're, dealing with, there's that shared perspective and those common values and kind of an understanding. And so even if your symptoms aren't the same, just knowing that you guys are coming from a similar place, and I think that's really comforting. So right now, for a while, our location function was turned off. So if you go on the app, you'll see people from all over. We didn't want anyone logging on and not seeing anyone in their area. And also, we know that virtual relationships can be just as fulfilling, especially if we're still in a pandemic. It's safer that way. It also establishes trust. I know most of my friends that I knew in person for years no longer live in the city that I live in. And so we are essentially virtual friends at this point. We only speak and communicate through technology. But with this, we're releasing a big update this week, and that location function will be optional going forward for our users. So if people are dead set on meeting people in person, they'll be able to do so. And we're really excited.
Oh, awesome. That's really good to know. And then I remember, first of all, you have so many users for not having 15 years. That's kind of insane. And also you have to think about the people on Bumble who don't use it and whatever. That's a huge number of people. It's really impressive.
Yeah.
I'm on there technically, but I just never deleted my profile. I just deleted the app. So technically I'm one of their users, but I didn't have the energy to delete the app.
That's hard to do.
Yeah, I know. They make it really difficult. So I'm like, whatever.
Just leave it in. Whatever. I'm the same way. Well, awesome. So I know you guys said you were thinking about a friend function. Maybe I shouldn't ask this on the internet.
No.
But yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
We're live. No,
We're live.
Yeah,
So
we really want to hopefully in the summer implement this friendship feature, because platonic relationships are just as meaningful. And we get, even from launching, we got messages being like, I'm married, but I want to go on because I just want to meet people like us. And we're like, totally, just put it in your bio that you're looking for friends.
Yeah.
And we want to make that official, and so that people can feel less isolated.
Awesome.
So it'd be a whole separate platform within the app that you can go through. We're thinking about making it, more interest and activity based, because that's really, something that's really important with friendship. If you're both interested in activism or cooking or whatever it is, we think that that's more important than swiping through photos. So we're trying to toy with what the friendship profiles will look like. We're going to definitely consult our users and see what they want, because ultimately they'll be the ones using it. And we're very excited about that.
Cool. Well, I'm really excited about this too. I'm so excited for it to launch and can't wait to hear more about it. So we do have quite a few questions about dating and relationships and chronic illness. I'm going to pull them up right here. So the first question someone wants to know is, they pulled up my wrong one. So hold on. I have two questions box up right now. Okay. I have them written down too for this reason. So if you are a person with dizziness or a different disability, doesn't really matter what disability, and you want to go back to dating again and kind of reintroduce that to part of your life, how early or not early do typically people like to talk about having a disability and kind of what that looks like in their lives? Is it an immediate thing people should share, or not, or down the road? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, that was something that I experienced a lot, and it's just not knowing when or how to disclose. And I tried it all different ways. And, of course I was doing this on a mainstream dating app. And so ultimately it didn't matter when I disclosed. If I just tried to keep it all in, and then once I got to know the person, then disclose, they still felt like disability was a bad thing. But I think on a platform like Dateability, or or just meeting someone out who might have a chronic illness, it's a lot less anxiety inducing, because there's just this shared experience, and commonality. But I think the most important thing is to disclose when you trust the person. It varies for everyone. You might be sitting at dinner with them and the conversation's feeling really good and you want to tell them. But also, if you don't want to tell them, I don't think anyone should feel like they're hiding anything or they're lying.
Totally.
It's really personal information. You wouldn't disclose all of any other sort of trauma on a first date typically. And so there's no reason that you need to disclose your chronic illness. Of course, if you feel like there's a safety issue and like, hey, I might pass out, this happens to me, just give me like 5 minutes after I do it and I'll be okay. It's also a thing to consider. But I think learning who to trust is important.
Yeah, and I will say Dateability, we have a section on each profile called Dateability Deets, and it's a broad list of terms like immunocompromised, wheelchair user, chronic pain that people can check off what applies to them or type it in, and it goes on their profile. It doesn't contain any diagnoses, and it is optional because we do respect boundaries and what people are comfortable sharing. But it goes on their profile under basic information, and it kind of just gives people a heads up. And also, I think makes the experience of disclosing less daunting because it's already out there. We don't view disability with any kind of shame or negativity, and I think Dateability Deets reinforces that. And so that's really important. And I will say, I saw a question up there, I think it was from Maya, about when they can limit it to the state they're in. And so maybe they came on later. We are releasing an update this week where the location function will be optional. So you can choose your geographical radius or you can see everybody on the app. It's up to you.
I think that's a great idea. Awesome. That makes a lot of sense. I feel like the comment about when you trust the person is a really big one, and when you think that they'll be able to, not that they need to be able to like handle information, right? Like it's just like a fact about you and it's something that you live with every day. But I do think that there is some safety in trust, and hopefully that kind of goes over better when someone does trust you and you trust them.
Yeah, I think if there was, if society viewed disabled people with less negativity, there would be a whole different conversation around it. But unfortunately, we're living with a lot of stigma.
Absolutely. There's a lot of stigma behind no matter what kind of disability you may have, whether it's anything from migraine to being a wheelchair user. All of these things are very stigmatized. So so now someone would like to know, if you panic and have a lot of anxiety about dating, do you feel like there's a better way to kind of go about that? Is it just practice? I feel like the dateability, like you can kind of meet people all over the world and like talk to them and get really comfortable is a great option for this. But do you have any advice for people who want to go kind of meet people or go on a date without so much panic?
I agree. I think virtual relationships are like, they have less expectations and there's less like seriousness, I guess.
I don't know.
Well, in the beginning,
maybe
in the beginning. There's not this like expectation that like we have to meet up.
I was going to say that you're not sitting at dinner with somebody thinking like, oh God, now I'm stuck with this person for the next 3 hours and they did not react to my information that I just shared with them well. There's the difference. It's like you
that's nice.
Okay, I gotta go, and then like that, and say like maybe this isn't a good match and it is virtual. I think like having to sit in a restaurant with somebody when it's not going well is the worst feeling for anybody, disabled or not disabled. Like, I think it gives. So I do think virtual gives like it's a better way to get to know the person and less pressure.
Yeah, and dating is hard, but it should be fun, and so I wish it was more fun. And I think you just have to put yourself out there. I think a good suggestion is like take 5 minutes out of your day if you're on the dating apps, and like take 5 minutes and like swipe through people, and that's it. And like, okay, you put yourself out there, you swiped, let's see what happens. But it's really dating. It's rough out there.
It's rough out there. It's not, dating is rough. I think that probably no matter what your like sexual preference, the time in your life, like whatever it is, I think probably everyone in the world could just agree that like it kind of just rough. So I'm glad that you can address that. And I also love that you don't have to sit at dinner with someone for 3 hours if you are able to do this if you don't like them. So that's great. What about, so do you know of any, so someone who's married asked if there's any partner support groups or like ways that partners can kind of ask for support from other people that aren't the person with the living with the chronic illness, and I'm curious if you know of any like that.
I don't, but I think the best advice is to be open and have open lines of communication. Do you have any advice?
I wish that I knew. I know that Dizzy Cook, Alicia, her husband wrote an article about what it's like to live with someone who has a vestibular disorder, and I think that's a really great maybe jumping point, but I don't know of any. I'm sure a support group exists somewhere. I'm not sure if it's
check Facebook
specific, but check Facebook. There's a group for everything on Facebook.
Yep.
Totally. Do you have any fun date night ideas for people who are dizzy or who have any form of chronic illness? Any fun ideas?
It's such a spectrum of what can trigger. So definitely take an account of your triggers, and don't be afraid to put the boundaries up, because I've been guilty of this too many times where I try to like make up for my chronic illness and I can do this, and it just backfires. And so being more confident in my limitations and setting those boundaries is important. But I mean, I think, movie date nights are good if the sound and stuff don't trigger you. And picnics, coffee. Do you have any ideas?
I was gonna say picnic or a movie, so you got it. But I think just like things that you enjoy to do. And I feel like a lot of times people on the other side of dating, we need to take into consideration, like people who are trying to date us, like they're trying to think of ideas, you're trying to think of ideas, going back to that concept of like dating is not the most fun thing, especially at first. And like, if you're meeting someone new and they're like nervous and trying to think of stuff to do, and then you're like, I can't do any of those things. And rather than just being like, no, thinking like, oh, but I would like to be able to do this or whatever, like having a couple things in your back pocket of just like, oh, I can't go into a restaurant because I am still super cautious about COVID or something like that, but maybe we can go on a picnic when it gets nicer out, or maybe we can have like a living room picnic or something like that and kind of make it fun that way. Can be
I think that's great, having those options to throw back.
Totally. Okay, someone in the comments here asked, have you dated someone else with a disability? How do I make the connection not just about our chronic illnesses? We're so much more than that.
Totally agree. And I have not dated anyone with a chronic illness or a disability, but I do think that if
I've also been dated anyone in like a lot of years, so it's not to shame, not to like expose you, but just like to be open. It's not like
So I haven't. Yes, it's been the pandemic's through a wrench in my love life. But I think that that's an important comment, because I think a lot of times people would be like, oh, do you know, you should meet so-and-so. They have a disability. And it's like, okay. It's like saying like, you should meet so-and-so because they have brown hair. So that doesn't mean we're going to get along. But I do think it's like a great conversation starter and an icebreaker. And so I want to date someone with a chronic illness, because I think that we'll have much more similar experiences and perspectives, and just like our values will hopefully align. But that's might not be true, depending on the person. So, I mean, I think just talking to someone like you would talk to any other person to get to know someone. But it's a great icebreaker, I think.
I think on dateability, what I envision at least is it's not two people with chronic illness or disability meeting and then like only connecting on that, but it's more like just an understanding. It could almost be unspoken, really. It's like if Jacqueline's going on a date with somebody who also has a chronic illness and she has a flare up, she can just tell that person like, hey, I'm having a flare, and that person understands, instead of somebody who is non-disabled and maybe has no experience of that being like, oh, you're just bailing, you're a flake, like suck it up, you know, we all get headaches or whatever it is. And I think that like commonality is really important. But yeah, there is so much more to a person. So we're not, you know, making it all about the disability. It's really, I think, this unspoken understanding.
I totally agree. And I think that the excuse is like, everyone gets a headache, like suck it up, whatever. Like, I think it's not funny, but it's interesting that like someone would say that. But it's like, if I was going on a first date and I don't have migraine disorder, but if I had a really bad headache, I'd just be like, you know what, I'm not feeling too good. I'm feeling under the weather. Let's reschedule. And I feel like that should be like a normal thing. But the people on the other side always take it so personally. And it's like, I just don't feel good today. Like, today's not my best day. You don't want to meet me today. I don't really want to meet you today. And it's just not. So I think that that kind of mutual understanding is so, so important. Yeah. Do you, in order to join Dateability, do you have to have a chronic illness or some sort of disability, or anyone can join?
Yeah.
No, anyone can join. We really appreciate and value diversity and inclusivity. We also think it's a really good way to filter out these people who will never understand, whether they don't want to or they just are incapable, because they're not going to join Dateability. So the people that Jacqueline's ran into on the other apps, you hopefully won't run into that.
Yeah.
So no, anyone can join.
Yeah. Awesome. That's really good to know. Cool. Okay, and then I think there's one more question I had. No, I think we hit them all, actually. Does anyone else have questions who's listening? Because you're welcome to put them in the comments and we'll answer them.
Yeah.
But anything else you guys wanted to say while we're waiting, if there's any questions?
Well, let's talk about you for a little, and because maybe we have our users or followers on here, and they might get some use from your services.
That's very true. Okay, so I am Dr. Madison Oak. I'm a doctor in physical therapy, so I'm a physical therapist by trade. But I am a person who's really interested in treating vestibular disorders. So vestibular disorders are dizziness disorders of the inner ear. And typically when someone is dizzy, most of the time it comes from a vestibular disorder. Not always by any means, but a lot of the time. So my profile and all my programs are completely related to dizziness and vertigo all the time. It's all I think about and all I do. Dizziness and vertigo I can treat in a couple of different ways. The first way is for free on Instagram if you're just looking to be educated generally about vestibular disorders and how you may be dizzy or why you're dizzy. It's a great place to start. And then I have a telehealth clinic that's licensed in 8 states. So California, New York, New Jersey, Virginia, Maryland, Wyoming, Wisconsin, and Minnesota. So if you're in one of those or if you've missed that, just DM me and I'll tell you. And then I have an international group program, which is the most cost-effective way to manage your vestibular disorder from home, called Vestibular Group Fit, which is a subscription service you can cancel anytime. And it's everything you wanted to know about your vestibular disorder, ways to move, ways to exercise that are all safe and scalable and modifiable for people with dizziness. So yeah.
That's great. Yeah, really, really helpful.
Awesome.
Really cool that it's telehealth. I see that Mara said she has questions for Dateability.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we can get them back up or if we should have her retype them.
Going to scroll and see, but
and I know there was a question about how secure the app is. The app is secure. We don't sell data, so you don't have to worry about that. You know, we have a great tech team behind us that helps make sure that everyone's privacy is protected and we are secure from any outside forces.
Yes, and we take safety really seriously. We want all of our users to be safe, and so we have a plethora of resources and safety tips on the app, and then every profile, you know, has a block and report abuse button, and so we can, if you put that will, you know, delete the user if we see that it's suspicious. And we are releasing a profile verification process this week, and so similar to some other apps, you can submit some profiles or some pictures, and if those match the ones on your photo, then you get a little check mark.
Perfect.
And that will, you know, help decrease catfishing and at least you know that the person in the pictures is the person you're speaking to. So that's very important. And yeah, that should be out this week.
Yeah.
And what else? Yeah, lots of safety and safe dating resources upon onboarding, and then in the settings, there's a bunch of safe dating tips. We think education is probably the most important, part about keeping oneself safe.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of personal information on there, so I'm glad you guys are taking so much good care about safety and things like that. So, okay, so the first question that I saw from Mara was about state-by-state location, and I know we said a few times that it is in the works coming up this week also with the verification.
Yeah, you'll be able to either see everybody on the app, or you can choose a geographical radius. It might not encompass your entire state, but it's 150 miles?
100, I think.
100-mile radius, but that's, pretty significant.
Yeah.
Area.
I don't know anyone who's, if they're going to not do virtual, travel,
Right.
100 miles for a date.
Yeah, totally. And then do you have as many women as men on the app?
We actually have the opposite. So a lot of the other dating apps have more men than women, and it's very interesting. And they're constantly trying to think of ways to bring on more women. We have the opposite problem. We have more women than men. We think that this friendship logic is probably going to make that even more true, but we are working on bringing on more men.
Awesome. Okay. And then I know Mara said she had a second question, but I couldn't find it. So if you want to ask it again, we'd be happy to answer it. And then do you have a timeline on when this is going to come to Europe? I know this person seems like they're probably
hopefully early next year.
Yeah.
That's our goal. So we would love, we know our European friends really want Dateability, and we think it would be very successful over there. So we're hoping early 2024.
Absolutely. Awesome. Well, we'll see if anyone else has a question that hasn't been answered yet, but I'm really excited for this. I think this is such a good idea, like genius, truly. And I'm really excited that it's launched and it's out and it's been out for a while. And okay. The question at the bottom, can you read it?
Can you please?
Can you?
Yeah. So, I will say it's really hard, if we had to list every disability or chronic illness under the sun, people would be scrolling for days, but that's why we have the type in option, and so that people can type in stuff if the list doesn't include what their situation encompasses. There's also to add that. I don't remember seeing a message to us about that, but if there's something that we missed, like a couple things, we are happy to add them. So if she wants to message us on either, you can email us or message us on Instagram. We're definitely open to feedback.
Awesome. Great. We love feedback. That's great. Okay, cool. And I like that you have a type in option. I think that's a great idea. Yeah, you can.
We know we're not going to include everything. Like, it's just physically impossible. And so we wanted to make sure that we gave everyone the opportunity to share who they are. But we have we have added things as we go along, like something that we think is really, we, totally think that's an important one to add to the list. So, yeah.
We're so committed to giving, like, our community the dating app that we deserve, because, so as you said, this topic is so popular and so many people wanted something like this for so long. And so, we're working every day to make this app the best place, the safest place. So, yeah, we're excited.
I want to remind everyone, that we are a baby. We're brand new. So, like I said, the other apps have 15 years ahead of us. And so that, we're playing catch up, but we will get there. We are so committed. I mean, we work day in and day out to make this the best app that it can be. And so we ask that everyone spread the word and, get as many people to join Dateability. Men out there, I think, we've had a lot of conversations about men and disability and chronic illness, and I think part of it's an issue with toxic masculinity and feeling like admitting that you're chronically ill or disabled as a man might, be criticized even harsher than if you're a woman, because you might be viewed as weak or anything. We disagree completely, but we understand that there's even more societal pressure on men. And so we think that maybe that's why men are more hesitant to sign up. So if you know you're a woman watching this and you know a man in your life that would be perfect for Dateability, encourage them to join. It is free, so that's important. And yeah.
Awesome. That's so great. I really love this. And I think that's such an important thing. And you just addressed the last question, which is cost, and it's free. And yeah. And also
I wonder about like, so, oh, sorry.
No, go right ahead.
About meetups and support groups. You know, we are building that friendship feature. And so we're toying with whether or not that would include like group chats. And so, you know, there could be a group that could get together. We're not really sure. And that, you know, it's very likely that the friendship feature will, you know, take place in phases. So it'll be the basic outline and, you know, basic services one-on-one. And then as we grow and progress, we can add in that group chat. But we definitely do want to do meetups.
Yes.
We definitely want to do events around the country. We want to connect with our users and have our users connect with each other. So
Awesome.
That's definitely in our plans for the future.
Yeah, we're creating a movement here.
Yes, I love it. I'm fully supporting you guys. So I will share more about this as well in my profile as always. And I can't wait to talk to you more for our interview about dating, sex, and relationships in vestibular group that I'm really looking forward to this week. So I will see you again soon. You guys rock. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much.
I love you guys.
Join Dateability.
Yeah.
I will say on the App Store, iOS, Android, and we have a web app version.
Oh.
So Dateability App, app.com. So you can go on your desktop and it functions the exact same way as the mobile apps. And just please don't hesitate to reach out if you run into any issues or have any feedback. We are open to it and love to hear from you.
Totally. And someone said a really great point, which is a lot of great men that don't care if someone has a chronic illness too, like siblings, children of people with disabilities, things like that. And I think that's such a great point.
Yeah.
So yeah, men, go join. If you're watching this and you're a man. I have a very female forward following just because of the migraine ratio in general. But if you're a man or you know a man, please sign up for this. I think that's a great idea. Awesome.
Thank
All right.
you. Thanks.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.